Hello, this is Chris Heasley with the Chris Heasley Radio Show, and today we are going to cover everything Sugar Land, Texas. And we have on our show today the newly elected mayor of Sugar Land, Texas, Carol McCutcheon. Carol, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Chris. It's so fun to be on your show for the first time since I was elected mayor. So thank you for having me, and congratulations on the success of your show. It's really been taking off.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, we're really trying to hone in on the local issues, on the things that nobody's talking about in the cities that nobody covers. So we go to Small Town USA, we go to Sugar Land, Texas, and I think it's a really exciting time in Sugar Land right now with the new mayor and the new city council. I think it's new beginnings, and I think that everybody in Sugar Land is excited to know what's on the horizon for Sugar Land, Texas. It's going to affect us all. So let me ask you, how you've been in office now, I believe, for over 90 days. Is that right?
Yes, I was sworn in June 17th.
Very good. Yeah. And how's it going? Tell me about your first 90 days plus in office as the new mayor of Sugar Land, Texas.
Well, I'd served as a district council member for over 8 years, so I knew that being mayor would be that on steroids. And it has even exceeded my expectations on that. So it's been a very, very, very busy time. Sometimes I'm booked, 12 hours back to back a day, and then I'll be up at night working on returning emails till 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock later. A couple of weeks ago, I went to bed after 4 o'clock in the morning, was back up at 7:30. So I have just a lot of work going on, but then so many people are wanting, to attend their events, and I want to, try to get out in the community as much as I can. So I probably need to do a little bit better job of balancing, maybe a better job of saying no. But I love people, and I truly love being out in the community, and people are really excited I was elected mayor, and they want to see me. They want me at their event. So, so I'll be unloading the dishwasher at 2 o'clock in the morning, folding clothes at 3 o'clock. So anyway, so I need to do a little bit better job of balancing my schedule. But I'm working really hard, and I'm really enjoying it.
So you were the equivalent of a city council person for some time. Is that right?
Yes, I was the District 4 council member for 8 years. So I had a quarter of the city of Sugar Land. So now I've gone from a quarter to the entire city. But of course, being mayor is even a bigger role than that.
And how is that transition going from just being the city council person to being the mayor of everything? Tell me about just the transition in those duties and responsibilities.
Yes, well, one thing that I've been working on is the fact that we have 4 out of 6 new council members. So what happened, there's a resign to run in the state legislation. So 2 of us were district council members. So because we had over 13 months left in our term, we were resigned to run. We ran for mayor. And then 2 of the citywide council members who are for election, one ran for mayor, and another one left town. So I said 4 out of the 6 council members are brand new. So just onboarding them. And there was so much historical knowledge, trying to impart. And of course, everyone has their own, perspectives and ideas. But we need to learn together how to work as a team, and that's going well. But then also, the prior council had so many things in motion. And so part of it is just, I said, bringing the new council members up to speed, getting their buy-in on what we already had planned, or making tweaks to what we have planned, but for making it the new council's, vision as opposed to the old council vision. So, so we've got a lot of, work that we've been doing on that.
Good deal. So let's talk about it. I mean, I think that when you stepped into office, there was some heavy critiques that were happening in a minute. I feel like they really exposed you to the fire right away. Tell me, what are some of the bigger, more difficult issues right now in the city of Sugar Land for you as mayor?
Well, shortly after being elected, we jumped into the budget and tax rate, which is the most important thing we do all year. And so starting in August, we had 3-hour-long budget workshops every week. in addition to the council meetings. And they're normally about an hour and a half or 2 hours long. But I said, we need to make them 3 hours each time, so the new council members will have a chance to to ask all their questions and get answers to everything, can really understand about this. And so one situation was in November of last year, voters approved a $350 million bond election.
Mm-hmm.
And that is something that's going to occur, and a tax rate increase is needed to fund that. And that is something that's going to be done over the course of the next 5 to 7 years. And so the tax rate increase is only going to be taken to cover that year's capital improvement projects.
Mm-hmm.
And so one thing that I had told people, knowing that voters had approved this last year, I said I'll work to keep the tax rate as low as possible, which did not mean there will be no tax rate increase. I said I'd work to keep it as low as possible. So the city proposed a 1 cent tax rate increase. And just, to keep for simplicity purposes, about a half a cent was going to go toward the projects that voters had approved in the bond election last year that we would be implementing over the course of the next fiscal year. There's also about a half cent tax rate increase on the maintenance.
Okay, may I ask a question?
Yeah.
If voters approved the $350 million bond a year ago, why do you have to approve it again?
Okay, well, the voters approved the $350 million of projects associated with that. It was on public safety, also building a new animal shelter, on some important drainage projects, and also road and sidewalk replacements. It was really, really heavily focused on infrastructure related. So anyway.
Okay, but may I ask?
Yeah.
It was November of last year, right?
November of last year. But anyway, so that was just the concept of us being able to issue government obligation bonds to fund it. But those bonds, but we're only going to issue the debt as needed on a year-by-year basis. So what we actually did in September was to vote on the city budget and also the tax rate to fund it. And so the budget has, our regular maintenance and operations.
So you voted for the projects, the sidewalks, public safety, and what was the third? Oh, the animal shelter.
The new animal shelter. Uh-huh.
But they didn't necessarily vote on how to fund it, correct? They just said we will go ahead with these projects.
Yeah, the voters approved those projects. Our ability to issue debt in the future at some point for those projects.
That's interesting that you can vote on something without voting on how to fund it. You can vote to approve it when you don't know how you're going to fund it.
Well, I said that we just said we're going to do these projects. We plan to do these projects over the next 5 to 7 years, and so then each year you get very specific. I want to proceed with, this, and this project that's going to cost this much money. So then we would need to issue this much debt, so that we would pay back over the next 20 years. And so we're going to do, because our fiscal year is.
So the idea is in that initial vote, the people are basically voting on the agenda for the next 5 years.
Yeah, exactly, the agenda.
But not every bit and parcel of it, including how to fund it. Right? That's how I understand.
Well, yes, the timing of the funding.
May I ask, public safety, $350 million is a lot of money. Mm-hmm. I guess that animal shelter is going to be pretty considerable. But can we talk about public safety? What components were in there for public safety? What are they going to get from that?
Okay. Well, stepping back to 2017, we annexed Greatwood and New Territory, and overnight that increased our population by 34%. So that was huge. And so what we're now doing, we're expanding the police department itself, also expanding the municipal court, also expanding our 311 dispatch. So I said the city grew, like I said, by that kind of a population.
That's
34% overnight is huge.
That's a lot.
And so when you have
But you also expanded your tax base, so you have, also some ability to fund that stuff without, going in more debt
Yeah.
to some extent.
But anyway, so the facilities were geared to a smaller population, and plus they've been there for decades. So already, even before that, the police were renting space in some office buildings. Also, were renting some space at the Fleur campus, and the Fleur campus was sold. Actually, is being demolished right now. So they needed just more space for the police department, because when you expand the population, you need a bigger, you need a larger building, and dispatches. Everybody's crammed into a pretty small area. So once again, just needed expansion of those. And then the main thing is going to be the new public safety training complex. Before, our first responders were going to different cities around and waiting in line to do training. But now the police and fire can train right here in Sugar Land at our own facilities. And so then plus the added benefit of that is, they don't have to, like I said, they don't have to wait. They get, obviously it's our facility, so they get that obviously top priority. And then if there is some sort of an emergency in the city, they're already right there in the city and they can immediately be deployed. So it's a really, because it's really important to train. It's very, very important for our first responders to have the training so they can keep themselves safe, and so they can know the best way to keep us safe during whether it's a fire or whatever the situation is.
Okay, so let's talk about the animal shelter. How big, tell me about this building that we're going to get, and why did people feel the need to fund an animal shelter? Is there a lot of animals that we're losing because they're homeless?
Our animal shelter is really, really old, and even back in 2015, a study was done, and it showed then that our facility was way outgrown, outdated even then. And so then, once again, this was 2 years before the annexation when we increased our population. So when you increase your population, you're naturally going to increase, since you're increasing the area of the city, you're also going to be increasing the number of stray animals that are going to come in. And so, it's going to be a brand new facility on the south side of Highway 90 that's going to be able to house more dogs and cats than it is right now. And then also there's some guidelines from the state with increased, sizes for cage enclosures for dogs and stuff like that. So that's something that we've really needed. We've known we've needed it since 2015. So we're now going to be implementing that. We're going to be.
So the $350 million covers new sidewalks plus these 2 new buildings. Does it cover any cost of ongoing operations?
No, the bond is really for capital improvement projects. So I said we want to keep our roads well maintained, because
But it doesn't cover any roads, does it?
It does cover roads. We're going to,
Okay.
So about $118 million is public safety. $35 million is for drainage, because, we had homes flood in Hurricane Harvey. We also had, back in 2017, we had homes flood during the May 2019 rain event. Some homes flooded both times. So since that time, we've been working on drainage projects. So starting with the worst areas for drainage, and then, moving down on the priority list, and also just to combat street ponding in a heavy rain situation. So we're continuing to work on that. But we've got just roads where the whole panels need to be replaced. We also have a 10-year backlog on sidewalk repair. So we've got about $10 million in additional funds to do extensive sidewalk repair throughout the city, because that's a safety issue too. One of my neighbors fell and broke her wrist on an uneven sidewalk. So, so the projects are very, very heavily, infrastructure focused.
Is there anywhere online where people can study this $350 million project
Yes,
budget?
right. You can go online and just go to sugarlandtx.gov. That's our city website. And then you can put in 2025 bond, and then that'll take you to some things you can select to look at. But there's a lot of very detailed information on the bond election program.
Okay, so the people of Sugar Land have passed this initiative for $350 million in new projects, and now we have to fund these projects, and that fell on your lap. Tell me about that.
Yes. Okay. The city proposed a 1 cent tax cent increase for the next fiscal year. Roughly half a penny was going to go toward the first year of the projects that were approved by the voters, and there was another roughly half a cent that was going to be for an increase in the maintenance and operations side. And
May I ask, is it a sales tax?
no, property tax.
So everyone's going to be taxed an extra penny a month, or how often?
Okay, so the tax rate is a little over 35 cents per $100 evaluation. Actually, like 35.6.
And that's an annual number, right?
It's based on if you take the value of your house and you multiply it by 0.356 and divide it by 100, then that comes out for your tax rate of for the year. And so anyway, and we do have a tax rate calculator on our website. And so that was
So it'd be about $8,900 for a $300,000 home.
No, that sounds too well. We have there's a 15% homestead exemption for residents, so you have to back that out of it. And then if you're 65 or older, there's a about $70,000 homestead, senior exemption that you get. And if you're a disabled veteran, that you get an exemption. So yes, it's not that quite that much by the time you work out everything. But anyway,
an extra penny and the half cent went to each side again, please.
Right. And so anyway, yes, and so the homes and commercial businesses are just for budgeting purposes assumed to go up 3.5% each year, but we got a little over 2% increase in valuations over last year. Main thing that the businesses were up 0.7%, and then residents were up. Actually, maybe around like 1.5% overall, because the residents were up a little over 2%, and so the revaluation wasn't as high percentage as we had last year. So, anyway, long story short, I made a recommendation that the city, keep the maintenance and operations side flat, the tax rate portion of that flat, and decrease the budget, and go ahead and proceed with a roughly half-cent increase to fund the debt projects that we want that were voter approved. And so that ended up passing, 7-0. So in my remarks that evening, I said just like a homeowner or a small business owner would do if their revenues are not going to come in as much as expected, the city should do the same thing. Just tighten their belt and decrease the expenditures. And so they did. And so then that was back in September. So then at the last council meeting, they came back and presented a budget that with less money to fund the slightly reduced tax rate that they had asked for.
Okay. If I may take just a quick second just to go over our featured product, which is the X39 patch. Which arm is it on? It's on this arm. The X39 patch, and this is photolight therapy that stimulates your stem cells. It's incredible. It is the X39 patch, and it brings wonders to the body. Our stem cells is our fountain of youth in our body. They've largely been suppressed by everything that RFK Jr. is telling us about, the toxins in our food, the toxins in our air. And actually, RFK Jr. wears this patch because it's incredible what it does for a body. I don't know if you've seen the athletics of RFK Jr. at 71 years old. They're incredible. And to some extent, it's because of the X39 patch. It keeps you young. And just to give you a couple of quick ideas, I don't know where it'll affect your body, but it'll affect it in a positive way in some way or another. Maria up in Fort Worth fell in the bathroom, hit her head on the porcelain soap dish, and had more than 10 years of constant headaches. She wears the X39 patch. The headaches go away in 2 days. It's incredible. It's photolight therapy. It's putting your body emits light. It takes the light. It puts it back into your body. It's something that's sort of like Tesla, not today's Tesla, not the cars, but I mean the original Tesla, the man from the early 1900s, was studying this type of science, and it was largely suppressed for political reasons. It's now that we're in this great awakening, these ideas are coming to life again. Michael Jaco online, the intuitive warrior, is a huge advocate of the X39 patch. I don't know if you know who Michael Jaco is, but go look him up on Rumble, and he swears by it. So David up in Dallas, he had years of aches and pains in his knees from high school football. He puts on the X39 patch. The aches and pains heal. He can run up a flight of steps. He's in his late 60s. He runs up a flight of steps with no problem. I have a friend who is a PTSD war veteran, and he has considerable problems sleeping because of everything he went through, the trauma on the battlefield. But what he does is he takes heavy meds to get to sleep, just to sleep at night. It's not healthy at all. Sleeping meds are the worst. He puts the X39 patch on. In 2 weeks, he is sleeping like a baby. It's amazing. As for myself, I put in an incredible week. I work hard. I work out. I do the show in the evenings. I am constantly tired. I wear the X39 patch, and what happens? My day crashes go away. I no longer have crashes during the day. I no longer get sleepy behind the wheel. I wake up out of bed at 5 a.m., crack of dawn, looking at the most sophisticated projects with no fog brain. My productivity is off the charts. In addition to that, after 40 years old, you get pressure on the bladder for men, and we have to go to the bathroom every other minute. It is so awful. The X39 patch has largely healed that for me. It's incredible. It's like I'm free again, right? Because I'm not constantly worried about that issue when I'm getting in the car for a long drive or whatever. I don't have that problem anymore. It's the X39 patch. It's very affordable. It's much more affordable than the pharmaceutical poisons that they're selling you through the local pharmacies. X39 patch. Text the word Patriot to 330-606-2304 for a 30% discount. That comes out to about $100 a month for the X39 patch. Text the word Patriot to 330-606-2304 with any questions that you have. We will get them answered. And I hope that you find value in the X39 patch, and I hope that you're glad that we brought it to you from this show. With that being said, back to our show. Okay, so the city came. Okay, so what happened? Home valuations did not go up as planned. So your taxes are now coming in short. You have to fund this $350 million projects. And the city's coming at you, and they're saying they also need more funds. Is that correct?
Yeah.
And okay, let's focus on that part. What does the city need money for?
Well, we have our public safety. So our first responders take up use about 75% of the budget. So because public safety is our number one priority in Sugar Land. And so then we also have, other departments. Public Works is another important department. So if you've got a water main break or something like that, they'll go out and fix that. So we've got about 950 staff members. And so their salaries are paid for out of that maintenance and operations budget and some other separate, funds like the utility fund. So anyway, that's just to provide all the different services that we provide to our residents.
And they came to you and said, "Hey, we need more tax," and you pushed back on them and said, "No, you got to fix your budget," and they did. Correct?
Yes.
So the tax raise did it go entirely for funding the new $350 million in projects?
Well, yeah. The year one of that project, yeah. So the half a cent is going to fund year one of the $350 million.
And the other half cent's going to the city's ongoing work, correct?
Well, it was, except they didn't get that. So the city, cut back so that it could.
Oh, so it's only a half a cent tax.
It's a half a cent only for the debt side. They'd asked for an additional half cent, roughly on the maintenance operations, and we said no. You need to keep that flat. So they went back and sharpened their pencils and took some money out of the budget.
So you were getting flack immediately for raising taxes. Tell me how the people have received it, besides your political opponents.
Yeah. Well, I said it was approved by the voters, and so to proceed.
It was
with
approved by the voters.
So anyway, people are happy because I said they did vote for. Generally, of course, you can't make everyone happy, but people appreciated the fact that we kept the maintenance and operations portion of the tax rate flat, and only went up just enough on the debt side to cover the first year of projects that were approved by the voters in the last year's bond election. So, and it puts us in a good position for next year. So, most people are happy with that. So, because I had said I would keep the tax rate, as low as possible, and this was in keeping with what I had said.
Very good. Okay, so there's a big development happening in Fort Bend, new news in Sugar Land. And that is the MD Anderson Development Project. Can you tell us about that?
Yes. MD Anderson, as you know, has a very large complex in the medical center in Houston, but now they're building almost a 500,000 square foot facility in Sugar Land. So we're excited about that because there's actually a wait of a few months in the medical center. And of course, parking can be very challenging in the medical center. So they're coming out off of University and 59 in Sugar Land, across from University of Houston, Sugar Land, and building, like I said, almost a 500,000 square foot facility there. So it's much larger than just a satellite operation. And it's going to be, and they're going to have surface parking lot. So they broke ground on that earlier this year. And boy, they have really been getting after it. They're going to be building a set of 5-story building there. And it's going to be completed in 2008. And so it's going to be outpatient services and all sorts of, diagnostics and treatments are going to be available, and it's going to help, alleviate the wait time in Houston. So I suspect people will be coming from all over the region, and maybe gets from the world to come to our facility that we'll have in Sugar Land.
Well, and that's happening, and then at the same time, University of Houston has made University of Houston Sugar Land campus has made some considerable. I don't know. You tell me, but when I drive, I just see their buildings there. It seems pretty like they've developed some.
Right. They opened a brand new engineering and technology building in August, and it's full, and so that's really exciting. And they've got about 4,500 students there on that campus, and it's a standalone campus now. It's not just a satellite of the U of H main campus. So the Engineering and Technology College has moved out to Sugar Land, and so that is really exciting to have that right there as well.
Fascinating. Big things happening in Sugar Land, Texas. Really,
Mm-hmm.
it's really. Mm-hmm. Last thing I want to cover here again about Sugar Land. There's not a lot going in Sugar Land, so we're able to get through it fairly quick. But the Imperial Houston District.
Yeah, the Imperial Historic District.
I apologize. Imperial Historic District. I did have that. I had the note right. Imperial Historic District.
Well, as you know, the Char House is the iconic symbol of our city, and it was built in 1925.
What is the Char House?
It is where they actually used to process the sugar cane.
On 90.
On Highway 90 on the north side of
I never
90.
heard of it referred to as that. It's the Char
They would
House.
call it char because the sugar cane would go through there, and after the processing that it would go through, it would come out as the white-looking sugar. But so you can call it, some people call it the sugar mill, some people call it the char house, but that's where the sugar was processed there. And we celebrated its 100th anniversary a few months ago. And so, but of course, over time, the building has, fallen into to ruin now that Imperial Sugar moved out, which was about 20 years ago. And so the city took the bold step of actually, buying the land there. And so we are going to be having a very robust community engagement this next week, Monday through Thursday, November 3rd through 6th. So that residents can have an opportunity to share what their vision is for the site, because we really want to make this this redevelopment there based on the community's vision. And so to find out more about this, residents can go to the city website, which is sugarlandtx.gov/Imperial Historic District.
Will it be like a walking area? Is that what it's going to turn out to be?
Well, there will be a lot of green space and some walking there, but there's also
They're going to
be
restore the buildings and it's green space.
we're going to preserve and stabilize the building. That's the first step. And now what we end up doing with the building, that's up in the air right now.
Probably. I mean, there's nothing you can do with that building. It's probably just going to be almost like a museum piece.
It could be a museum piece. I mean, you could repurpose that building, but it would cost tens and tens of millions of dollars.
I feel like that building's it's spent, right?
You might.
The people have gotten their use out of that building.
They have. The question is, well, would you like to do something, let's say, with the downstairs?
Right.
A museum downstairs or something like
minimal.
that. Yeah. Of course, there's interest in a rooftop bar, but rooftop bar would be pretty complicated. You have to have an elevator to get up
Yeah.
there. You'd have to have, water, all
mean,
sorts of things. So, yeah, so we'll see.
Put a country store up top. That's about it, is what I think.
But anyway, there'll be. I really want it to be really some great public space, but there'll be likely a residential component. I would see some restaurants, maybe some commercial, maybe some retail. But what we're doing, I said, bringing the community together to get their input, and then next year we'll be working with a master developer on a plan for it. But so again, that link is sugarlandtx.gov/Imperial Historic District, all one word. And if you go there, you can find out all about that and all about the opportunities for community input coming up this next week.
Excellent. Very good, Carol. Well, sounds like a lot's going on in Sugar Land, Texas.
Yeah, we always have a lot going on. Want to keep our city strong and vibrant.
Good. Well, I appreciate your hour on the show, and I appreciate our time together, and I look forward to the next time you come on and we learn what the new updates are in Sugar Land.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Chris. I really appreciate it.
All right, great. Well, thank you again, and this is Chris Heasley with the Chris Heasley Radio Show, and we will be back here on Tuesday with one more hot topic. Appreciate everyone.